Hey guys, welcome back to the next video. In this video, we are going to quickly introduce to this particular architecture, what this architecture is all about, and then I'm just gonna go about the plans of the next stage plans. Let's talk about this particular architecture. This particular architecture comes in as a Weblogic on Kubernetes, and this is gonna open a door for a lot of opportunities over here. So I'm gonna explain you the architecture, but before we go there are a couple of things I want to tell you about. And you know about the job or the workload. Everyone is talking about transformation. Everyone is talking about modernizing your applications and stuff like that. Now, thinking about that, right? So in your company, I'm pretty sure this talk is going on. The only way you can modernize and transform your application is by having a containerized application and an orchestrator who can automate a lot of things from your day-to-day job. Now, if you're working on Weblogic, if you're working on middleware, if you're working on if you're working on Docker containerization, this is going to open a lot of things for you guys. Okay, if you already know about it, that's going to be very useful for you. So what I'm going to talk about in this video is that we're going to use AWS as our base. We are going to use the instance type as T2 large. That's the instance we're going to use to make sure that this architecture comes together, because WebLogic requires a lot of RAM. So at least we minimum need an 8 GB of RAM for this to be working. And we need 3 systems so we can have a proper Kubernetes cluster and a proper WebLogic domain cluster. Now you see that proper domain cluster has 2 managed servers and 1 admin server. So that's what we wanted. And then we are going to have other things also. I'll explain you little by little, but not too much so that you get bored. Okay. So I'm going to keep it very crisp. But then when we talk about each part of this particular architecture, I'm going to explain you much thorough on those parts when we come there. So don't worry about it. Everything in here is covered one way or another. So let's start with 3 instances. We're going to use AWS, Amazon Web Services, as our base of operation, because my laptop couldn't bear the load. I tried to put it on my laptop, but my laptop is already running, as you can see, with 84. But when I run this, guys, over here, it reaches 23.5, and then my virtual machine crashes. Okay, so it's not possible to run it on your system or laptop, because I have 4 GB of RAM allocated to each of my virtual machine. Well, to be frank, it's not working out. So I had to choose AWS instance, a T2 large instance over here. So now I normally suggest using T2 medium, but then for this occasion, go for T2 large, because that's the only thing which can support the size of WebLogic. Now, what we're going to do here is that we are going to containerize our WebLogic. We're going to put it as in an orchestrator after containerizing it. And we are going to manage this autonomously, so using Kubernetes. So this is the whole reason for it. The future updates includes monitoring system on Kubernetes, like Prometheus, Grafana, so likewise, just like how I've done for my Tomcat training. So I'm going to give full support. Don't worry about it. I'm going to show you everything I know and what I've been doing so far in my IT career. So don't worry about it. So everything is covered in this training. And I'm going to add Oracle as well. So once I have a communication with Oracle Cloud, so I'm going to do that also as part of this training. And you can actually go ahead and tell your office people that I know how to do WebLogic in Kubernetes, so I can save a lot of money for you in terms of resourcing, in terms of like automations and stuff like that, and deployments and stuff like that as well. So you can actually go and say that with confidence that you know how to do it. All right. So let's get into this architecture right now. So we're going to have 3 instances of Ubuntu server. Ubuntu is like a far more favorite operating system for Kubernetes. So most of the Kubernetes runs on Ubuntu rather than any other operating system. So just that you should remember. So I'm going to have 2 architectures over here. One is the server level stuff, like you can see a lot of activities is going on the server level stuff. Another one is the Kubernetes stuff, which is in the box over here with different colors. And then what happens within the Kubernetes stuff, right? So I'm going to have like multiple levels or layers of architecture involved over here. I'll try to explain it as much as I can. But more depth introduction will come over the section. So every section I'm going to have each part covered. So each session we will refer this architecture, dig in more deep into this architecture and try to understand what we're doing. So we're going to build our artifacts and WebLogic image and put it out on the on the Docker cloud repository, because this is the local cloud repository. Local Docker repository. So I'm going to put it on the cloud. And then I'm going to build something over here in the control plane manager node. We're going to have worker 1, worker 2 as part of Kubernetes cluster. So this is the default video which we are always using for Kubernetes cluster, because there's no much change over here. Because whenever I create a cluster on AWS, I follow the same document, I follow the same video. So there's not much difference. But this time around, there is one difference. You have to choose T2 large. You cannot choose T2 medium. So that's something you should remember, because T2 medium, this guy gets stuck. The admin server is not coming up because it doesn't have enough memory to do that. So you have to go for T2 large. The next thing is that we're going to install something called WKO. So what is WKO? Very interesting. It is WebLogic Kubernetes operator. Now, what's the use of this particular object over here? Very simple. When you install customized software like WebLogic on a standardized software, as in Kubernetes, right? So Kubernetes is standardized because Kubernetes is not designed to serve WebLogic applications, right? So when Oracle wanted to deploy WebLogic on Kubernetes, they usually had a past way of doing this. Okay, so they had to run some scripts, and they had this manifest files where you can just run some files, and then you can actually host WebLogic created on Kubernetes. But that had so much of bugs, that had so many issues when you are communicating with CI/CD pipeline, okay, and stuff like that. But they overcome those things using WKO. Now, what is WKO? WKO is nothing but another addition of Kubernetes objects or APIs, which is custom made. So we also call it as a CRD, custom resource definition. Now, using this custom resource definition or CRD, we will be including these action items into Kubernetes, saying that Kubernetes will learn some new things. It's like a module which we push in. Just like how your Ubuntu system or your CentOS system doesn't know about software. So, for example, Ubuntu system doesn't know if you type unzip, it's not working because unzip is not installed. Oh, sorry, zip is not installed. So what do? You use yum install zip, right? So what is yum? Is a package manager for your CentOS operating system. Likewise, Ubuntu has its own, right? So for Kubernetes, right, who is the package manager? Helm. Helm is the package manager which installs stuff into Kubernetes. Okay, stuff as in the new objects, which is like WKO. So use Helm to install WKO object on Kubernetes, and then the stuff which doesn't make sense, like for example, kubectl get domains. When you give that kind of item on your command line, it's going to say, what is domain? I mean, I don't know about domain. So if it's like kubectl get domain. So I guess the CRD exists over here because I've been trying. Just give me a second. And you can see that this domain and cluster CRD exist. Now, if I'm going to delete this CRD, because by default doesn't exist, right? So if I'm going to delete this CRD, just by specifying this, you see that the CRDs are deleted. Now, when I say get domains, it's going to say like, what is domain? WebLogic domain, what it is. But this particular item is also not found. It says I'm able to list weblogic .oracle v9 resource domain. So it says like, I'm not able to find what is domain. Have you installed a CRD or you forgot to install? So sometimes it will ask you that. So what that means is that the domain is basically a kind of a configuration, which is a custom resource, which is defined by a third party. In this case, it's Oracle. Okay. So this we will be installing it through Helm, and then it starts making sense for your Kubernetes. So because it will have the CRD defined over here, which will have instructions of how to handle a domain, how to handle when a domain is created, or how to handle when you get domains. So this is something which is in a custom made one, right? So likewise, you will be doing that, and we'll be creating a lot of configurations. So I've just given you some demo configurations over here. And then we'll basically apply a YAML file. So this is called initial YAML file. So this is going to be picking the images which you deploy, the application image as well as your WebLogic image. It's going to pick up from here, and it's going to deploy it down here in your worker node. So now here it is going to create something called a introspective server. Now, what is this introspection server or introspective, whatever it is? So it is going to be the birthplace of your your total domain configuration. So this is when it's going to extract both these artifacts and as well as like our auxiliary image and WebLogic image, and it's going to create a structure in the pod. And once it has created a structure, it's going to spin up a new pod over here called admin server. And admin server eventually is going to create the manage server 1 and manage server 2. And then they're all going to run through the ingress and through the ingress, how you will browse admin console and application. So this is pretty much what we're going to see end to end on this particular section. But as I promised, there's going to be some add-ons later point of time, but I cannot promise you that it's going to come right away, but it's going to be there later point of time because for Tomcat and other application servers, right? So I'm going to make next generation videos. Like for example, JBoss is going to come with OpenShift. You're going to have WebSphere also happening around. Liberty next generation is going to come. It's around the corner. And then you're going to have more updates on the next generation, including AWS itself. So likewise, I'm trying to create videos which make sense, where there's just a lot of videos out there, but these videos of mine will be end-to-end, and it will have involved troubleshooting as well, so that you can understand how to troubleshoot an existing issue. I'm going to give you some suggestion towards how you're going to accommodate it in terms of your organization structure, how you're going to define that. So all those things are going to be part of these videos. Yeah, so don't worry about it. So if you have any questions, please leave it on the question section. The only way you can support me is by leaving your review when you have enrolled to any of my training. And we have a community, so please join the community. We're happy to put you part of the community, and you can always work with other students and try to resolve problems. So there are a lot of things which we are doing to support you guys. Thank you again for watching this video. I'll see you on the next one.